fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and I running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on this Tuesday edition of the show. We are powered by Box Eye Care, as we are each and every day. We have DC of DC Capstone Report joining us today. You've got today's playbook, the College Football Hall of Fame, as we look at a list of players that are eligible in this class from Alabama, coaches as well. An interesting statistic that shows that the SEC has only produced 16 Heisman Trophy winners, and a more shocking stat than that. We also have to talk about Alabama has a big visit does have a big visit coming up this week from a quarterback, as Alabama tries to find a quarterback in this recruiting class, as this is official visit season, as well as we'll try to get into the tight end room and break down that position, as Alabama has a lot of talent but not a lot of experience in that room. And we'll get into more conversations as we get underway.
All right. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Glad to have you with us as we hit the radio airwaves as well as the live stream. We want to invite you to get in on the conversation on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We have the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline open for business, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline. Also, you can add your thoughts, your comments, your reactions on the live stream chat. We'll work it into the conversation. And for those of you who join us on the Tide 109 app, if you post it, it's a little delay, but if it works its way to our feed, email before we get off there, we'll work that into the conversation as well. Yeah, we're always glad to have you because this is all about what you want to talk about. But we always plan and open up the playbook for you each and every day. And Xavier hit that a little bit, so we'll dive into that in just a moment. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Of course, it's Tuesday, so we have DC Capstone Report jumping back in on the conversation. So good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great this morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing well. Glad to have you, sir. Glad to have you back.
So, yeah, good to be back. I tell you, we had a storm that kept me off 1 week, and then I had a little vacation last week. So glad to be back this week.
Yeah, those of you who don't know, DC a few weeks ago, they called it a straight line wind, but I went up there and rode it and looked at it, DC. It looked like a tornado came through. And sometimes when it don't make the news, people don't realize how bad it is. And I was one of those until I saw it with my own eyes. But glad the most important thing, everything could be replaced and all that. But there was fortunately no lives lost, but a lot of big trees and property damage happened in Tuscaloosa. But glad to have you back, man.
Glad to be back. Really am. It's just we were very blessed that no loss of life in our area, as bad as the damage was. Like you said, most people, if they didn't leave in our area, then they didn't realize it happened. But if you were here, it's like I say about minor surgery. It's only minor if you're not having it. So
That's right.
if you're in the middle of it, it was tough.
Speaking of minor service, DC, we do have several topics we want to get to. But speaking of that minor surgery, the SEC media days, they're talking about this, looking at the SEC schedule. That's been the conversation forever, DC. It's been the conversation forever. But if they are going to make that move, do you ever see them going to 9 games without a guarantee? Because it's like you have to go through a gauntlet. If you're in the SEC with 8 games, you add a 9th game, then you add another Power 4 team. All of a sudden, your conference. Generally, if the SEC goes outside of the conference, they generally go ask for a top team out of the other conference. It's not like the SEC goes and like Alabama doesn't play Indiana, or Illinois. Most of the time, Alabama's playing, one of their top 4 from the other conference. So, as you say, minor surgery doesn't seem like that big a deal, but how big a deal is it adding one more SEC game until the committee proved that winning quality, strength of schedule, quality of opponents matter more than just getting a W?
Yeah, I think it's a huge thing. I think it's what's holding it back in the SEC. I think playing a 9-game schedule in the SEC is much different than playing a 9-game schedule in the Big Ten. And what I mean by that is top to bottom, and the way that the teams are picked. You could end up in the SEC playing one SEC team that is let's say a top 5 talent in the nation, could be paying top 10 talent on their 9 games in the nation. Just the way the things work out with all the players and with all the teams that are in the poll. So I think they want to talk about it, but I don't think they really want to do it. Everybody loves to talk about it because how long have we been talking about it? Talking about it forever, right? numbers match 9 and 9, but what the truth is, they want to talk about it, but they don't want to do it because they see now that even playing an 8-game schedule, your teams like you got your teams who play the 8-game schedule and lose 2 games, they're on the line of getting into the playoffs, and you lose 3 games and you're out. So having a 9-game schedule, the chances of losing 2 or 3 games goes up exponentially if you're in the SEC, as opposed to being in the Big Ten. So I think that's the argument that everybody wants to talk about it because that's what everybody wants to hear. But nobody's going to do it until there's some kind of guarantee that the playoff committee is going to value strength of schedule. Because a 9-game SEC schedule is definitely a strength of schedule argument opposed to a 9-game Big Ten schedule.
Yeah, and the SEC is a little more. The disparity is a little more spread out in the SEC than it is the Big Ten, and I think we saw that this year when you look at schools like Indiana. When you have 18 teams, you can play pretty much the entire bottom half of the conference, and you pop up and play one of the top teams, and you get your butts handed to you. And then you get your butt handed to you in the playoffs, and it goes, oh, well, you only played 2 quality teams all year, and you're 0-2 versus those teams. So they definitely do have to guarantee something along the lines of strength of schedule is going to be more important if the SEC is going to budge and move to 9 games.
Let me ask you guys, and why you can give your opinion. Did they intentionally – did the SEC sell out to Texas – last year and this year to get them to come over, or is it just coincidence that their schedule happens to be that talking about what you just talked about, X? Texas only played 1 team outside of the bottom 9 of the conference. They played Texas They lost Texas A&M, who's the 8th team, and then they played Georgia twice and lost both of those. Is it any way possible that wasn't done intentionally?
DC?
Well, you're asking me. I'm going to say no. There's no way. I don't think you can randomly get that if you were to throw it into a computer without games. I don't think you can randomly get that. Somehow it had to be hand-picked or some type of welcome to the SEC type thing. I don't think it's. I don't. If you're Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, even you're thinking, what in the world? Who made their schedule? Because it's nothing. You put them all in a row, and even your 4-year-old can pick out one. It's not like the other, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And then I was just looking at their schedule this year. Yeah, they open up with
it's the reverse.
Yeah, they open up with Ohio State, but then they go San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vandy, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M.
Why is it possible? Is it possible that wasn't a gift and a welcome to the SEC?
I definitely think it could have been. Because, but at the same time, you look at it and you say, all right, well, Texas has played Alabama the last 2 seasons in a non-conference matchup that was previously scheduled. So you can't give them Alabama again. And they gave them some of the tougher teams. They got Ole Miss, they got Georgia, or not Ole Miss, excuse me. I'm thinking about Georgia, but they got Georgia still, which is always really tough. And then you renew the rivalry with Texas A&M, and now you flip the locations. I thought they probably should have gotten like an LSU in there as well, or a Tennessee or something like that. Somebody that's a little tougher than some of the teams that are currently on their schedule. But
hey, Wyatt, you want to hear something crazy?
You said, Wyatt, and that's my point. They did give them Georgia, and they lost, right?
But here's the crazy part. I don't think people remember this. Georgia was supposed to play Oklahoma those 2 years that we played Texas in a non-conference. They allowed Oklahoma to cancel that, or they allowed Georgia, Oklahoma to cancel that series and then bring them in. I think they intentionally didn't cancel the Alabama-Texas series just for the reason that you gave, Wyatt, so they couldn't immediately schedule Alabama, Texas in the SEC.
Yep. And so the other part of that, and we'll get to break. You take a break out of this, but the other part of that is, they did have Georgia, and they lost to them twice in the same year. And of course, they got Texas A&M as a rivalry. And who knew that Texas A&M, would lay an egg down the stretch? But anyway, that was the everybody else. Did you go look at Oklahoma's schedule? Just go look at Oklahoma's schedule. It was almost the exact opposite. It was like they handpicked the tougher guys for Oklahoma. So anyway,
I don't envy Brett Venables' job at that point. Ole Miss, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee. Yeah, no, I don't envy his job.
That's right. I mean, I'm like, you looking at these two guys coming into the SEC. I know we're all over the place, but you look at that schedule, you look at the comparison, and it's just crazy. So, actually, take us a break, man.
Hey, yeah, we're gonna go to break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll get into the the college football 2026 Hall of Fame class. A couple Alabama guys are eligible, and we're getting into that conversation on the other side. We'll be back with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you, Tuscaloosa, on this Tuesday. Getting up to a nice and light start as you move about, everywhere. Traveling on 43 southbound onto McFarland Boulevard, intersection, just intersection typicals. Moving on Lurleen Wallace at McFarland Boulevard intersection. That is also traveling at posted speed. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell.
Just announced 0% for up to 60 months on all 2025 Nissan Rogue SUVs and the 2025 Nissan Pathfinders. Wow. Don't wait. Just shop now. Townsend Nissan today.
Taco Bell's $5, $7, and $9 Lux Cravings boxes give you options from a meal of classic faves to a feast of more indulgences to a whole world of deliciousness. Get Lux for less and choose your Lux Cravings box at Taco Bell today. At participating stores while supplies last. Prices vary. Drinks excludes freezes. Tax extra.
Award-winning country sensation Lee Brice is back.
One of them girls that ain't trying to meet nobody. You're just here.
Live in concert, Saturday, July 5th, Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. Lee Brice.
It's a memory I don't miss with the girl I was the best.
On sale now at pearlriverresort.com. Don't miss Lee Brice live.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
we can be twinsies
to
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
The Peace Lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly sunny and very warm today. The high in the upper 80s, around 88. Tonight, mostly fair with the low at 70. Tomorrow, partly sunny. A few spots could see an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. The high tomorrow back in the upper 80s at 88. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 63 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama Sports. Hey, don't forget to check out Empowerment Strategies and Solutions. That's Empowerment Strategies and Solutions. Empowering better people, stronger teams, and championship cultures. Visit martinhouston.org. You can find out all the great services we have to offer, whether it's a boot camp, workshop, pep talks, in the keynote variety or lunch and learns, as well as talent evaluation, behavioral assessments. We can help you build your organization and build your team so that you can have a championship organization and culture. Remember, people don't leave jobs, they leave bad management. Let us empower you to be the best version of yourself today. That's Empowerment Strategies and Solutions. martinhouston.org/book me to learn more. X.
All right. As we get ready to kick off the second quarter, we've got the 2026 College Football Hall of Fame that has listed out its nominees. And here are just some of the key nominees. Heisman Trophy winners: Mark Ingram, Cam Newton, Robert Griffin III. Here are a few key players: Aaron Donald, Dez Bryant, Marvin Harrison Sr., Josh Heupel, Peter Ward. Several coaches included, including Dennis Franchione. That is a name that I have not heard or spoke in a very long time. DC, what are your thoughts about the list of potential nominees for the Hall of Fame this year? And do you think the Heisman Trophy winners get in?
Yeah, I think the Heisman Trophy winners probably have the best chance of getting in. I think, of course, Mark Ingram being recognized as the first Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama. I think he's probably going to be one of the ones voted in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Cam Newton or Robert Griffith III voted in as well. If you're an Alabama player, there's so many Alabama players that are eligible right now that meet the criteria for the College Football Hall of Fame. And there was like 26 current players are eligible after playing time, and then there's 49 on the alumni list. So there's just a lot of players that can get selected. I didn't hear you mention D'Amico Ryans. I thought D'Amico Ryans got.
He is on the list too. I was just continuing to scroll down through it. He is.
Yeah, I think that at least from Alabama, I think Mark Ingram and D'Amico Ryans have a good chance of getting on, simply because of what D'Amico did in his playing days, but he's had a lot of notoriety since he's been into coaching as well. So I just think that he might be the one that'll come out of this as people didn't think of, but being a best for product right here locally, and I think it'll be great for him to get that recognition as well. But yeah, I think the Heisman Trophy winners will be the ones that have the nod. I think I believe in Ndamukong Suh, didn't he get nominated as well? He might have a chance of getting in as well.
Yeah, I don't know how many do they take each year. I'm not sure, but
for that.
I think it varies based on the number of votes they get, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is, you look at this list, and based on what they did in their college careers, I don't know that there's anybody that not qualified in terms of the players. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, it's an insane list when you go through all the names.
And Manti Te'o may be the least likely of the ones that are listed from a player standpoint. And of course, I think his production is tainted by the scandal around him. But when you look at that, I guess the thing for me is that the three Heisman Trophy guys, kudos to them. They're probably in. But then you look at that next list: D'Amico Ryan, Manti Te'o, Jonathan
You
Vilma,
got Dallas Clark. I mean, the list goes on. It's an incredible list, and all of these guys, like you said, deserve to be in based off of their college careers. And it's kind of crazy that you see guys from the 80s and 90s on this list that haven't gotten in yet.
Well, think about Alabama. Thanks to Nick Saban, some of the greatest players in Alabama history will not get on. Will not get recognized as All-Americans, will not get recognized in College Football Hall of Fame, et cetera, just because, you take between Coach Bryant and Saban up into that era, most of those guys are not going to get in because, I mean, they're not even out of the 90s yet with Alabama players. As far as, recognizing them for some of these individual awards and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Derek Thomas got in 5 years ago or something like that.
Long.
So, and now you start looking at
You've only got one teammate, right?
Yeah.
You were Derek's teammate too, but him and Langham.
Yeah. So when the bookends aren't in, DC.
Yeah, when Copeland and Curry's not in, I'm not sure what the criteria is here.
That's the problem. Like, the criteria is really strict. So you have some guys that might have, when you go, how did they not qualify? It's it's
crazy.
Consensus All-American, unanimous All-American. Like you have to meet one of those two criterias.
Now, with that said, that's the perfect segue. Why not just lower the criteria and just recognize great players?
They're about to do that anyway. They're fixing to set a precedent to do that because the biggest outcry of all just happened this past year when everyone thought that Mike Leach should be recognized in the Hall of Fame and as a coach, and they couldn't because he didn't have the winning percentage enough. He was like 0.2 of a points lower than the criteria for winning percentage of a coach over a lifetime of coaching. So they're going to actually lower that, and then they've already voted to do that. But in 2027, the criteria for coaches will be lowered, which will make Mike Leach and Jackie Sherrill eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. That's probably a precedent that will set for future down the road for players who people say, I cannot believe they can't be in the Hall of Fame.
Let me ask you guys another one of those kind of questions. It's kind of hard to believe. Is 60% winning winning 6 out of 10 games Hall of Fame coach?
Yeah, that was just their criteria they set. Yeah, but that
no. That's what I'm saying is like that's the one stat that I'm looking at going of consensus.
Coach was
consensus
already
All-American and all of these things where someone has to vote you into an award. In other words, the players have to have an outside force voting them in when the people who are voting don't even see these players perform. Okay, like the fact that there's a couple guys from that 92 team that could go backwards and play in any era and come forward and play in any era, right? And there, I mean, you could take Eric Curry and John Copeland and put them back at any era prior to them playing, and they would dominate. You could take them and pull them all the way to today, and they would dominate. There's not an era of football that those two players wouldn't dominate. But because they also played in an era when there was other players, they didn't get voted, to get in.
Unanimous.
But when you look at a coach, that dude performed 60%.
Yeah.
Which I think is a D, right?
Yep.
It just speaks to our culture and our society.
No, and I get what you're saying. The standard for coach is technically already low.
We're going to lower it to get Mike Leach in.
So you don't need X and Y, y'all. You and David and I are old school. We understand we old and we didn't grow up. You were at the beginning of the participation trophy era, and we fought against that. Fortunately, you had parents fighting against that participation trophy. Wyatt, you came along in that era. What are your thoughts on the participation trophy mindset of, hey, he missed it, so let's lower it?
I don't agree with it. Like you said, I'm your kid. That was not something that we grew up with. And I'm instilling it in my kids. Hey, just because your brother got something doesn't mean you get something. Just because your sister got something doesn't mean you get something. It is okay to celebrate you all separately.
Yeah.
So that I don't agree with it.
He's younger than us.
No, I don't like this whatsoever.
It's crazy.
I see it with Mike Leach, because you cannot tell the story of offense without bringing up Mike Leach. So him, I understand, but to lower it completely.
But to me,
looking at some of the names that are eligible now, Rich Rodriguez is eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame now.
Here's my thing, Wyatt. and I do think that there's a place for a guy like Mike Leach who revolutionized college football. We play offensive college football today because
of guys like Mike Leach.
To Mike Leach. We'll have a category for that.
Yeah, I think that would be much, much better. But I mean, to flat out just lower it, I thought it was too low in the first place. I thought like 0.7 win percentage was probably where it should be.
Yes.
But at 0.6, I mean, I'm looking at some of the coaches that have got, you know, a 60% or better career percentage or career win percentage. Brett Bielema is eligible for the Hall of Fame right now. Like, really? That's the type of coach that we're talking about?
I mean, that's the average. That's average or below. So you're going to have all types of guys moving forward eligible. And if they bring a personality to it.
Hugh Freeze is eligible right now.
I would just create a category of innovator of college football.
Yeah, like lifetime achievement or something. Yeah. Because Mike Leach is a guy who and so I understood the desire to get him in, right? But it would be like there being in college in the major leagues or whatever, them deciding because there's a really, really impactful guy that they lower the standard for a player to get in. One player to get in. But in lowering that for that one player, you invite and now you qualify a whole nother set of players.
Yeah.
And that's and if like in baseball, I always tell kids, if you can hit one, if you can get on base or not get out 1 out of 3 bats, you're a Hall of Famer in baseball. But that's a hard criteria. It's a clear delineation. There's a bunch of people at 59.5 to 60%. There's a bunch of people that qualify. Huh?
Those players that are college football worthy that are on the outside looking in at coaches who are one less than 60% of their games getting in. That doesn't sit well with me. I mean, you got college football Hall of Fame caliber players who didn't meet a criteria that was subjective because if somebody voted them to a All-American team where it didn't even see them play. That's what I don't like. The criteria is not the same. It's not the coaches actually coached in games with the opportunities to win. These players didn't even have an opportunity to get on some of those All-American teams because they didn't ever get looked at or get voted on, even though they had the ability to be the same.
And to wrap this up, DC, the part about that is crazy. A player has 4 years to make it. A coach could coach for 30 years.
Yep.
That's the insane part of it. A coach could potentially have 30 years to win 60% of his games. A player has 4 to make a name for himself.
What's this?
What makes the criteria even lesser? Should be more on coaches for sure.
How many coaches will have a job at the same place if they average six wins a year? I mean 60%. It'd be 8 wins now out of the 12, somewhere in that range. That's the craziness. Anyway, I digress.
You'll take that.
I digress. I mean, it's just these coaches get fired now when they're winning 9-10 games a season and not making it to the playoffs. So, and back in those days, coaches had a chance to build up their record. So maybe that's what the problem was. Is they were taking over bad programs. So we want to give them. I'm just being messy. Let's get the break here. Coming back on the other side, we'll continue the conversation. We invite you to get in on it on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline, 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you, Tuscaloosa, on this Tuesday. Getting up to a nice and light start as you move about, well, everywhere. Traveling on 43 southbound onto McFarland Boulevard, intersection, just intersection typicals. Moving on Lurleen Wallace at McFarland Boulevard intersection. That is also traveling at posted speed. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have your phone first before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man. No, wait, my phone, come back. It's got my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life, come back.
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way each and every day for 50 years and counting. If you're looking for a great option for lunch and or dinner, then you need to check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, and while you're there, don't forget to get a big glass of that sweet tea. Visit them online at tacocasa.com. That's tacocasa.com. Quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a gift from the Home Depot, because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. Upgrade his gear this Father's Day with the Husky Mechanics 270-piece tool set from the Home Depot. Now on special buy for $119, a $695 value. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Hey, go check out Dixie Battery Supply, dixiebatterysupply.com. Go check them out. They have all of your battery needs. Never feel powerless again. They buy junk batteries, Tuscaloosa, Northport, and Bessemer. That's their physical locations, and online you can find them at dixiebatterysupply.com. All right. Nick Chubb, Matthew Stafford, Julio Jones, Dwight Stevenson, Will Riker, just to name a few. What do they have in common? Not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. DC, that list alone almost makes the College Football Hall of Fame a joke.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
any Hall of Fame where Julio Jones is not eligible is kind of laughable.
He's a pro football Hall of Famer, but not a college football Hall.
Yeah, but he can't be in the College Football Hall of Fame. That's just
and technically, I mean, Dwight Stevenson may be the best center to ever play the game. Will Riker is the all-time. Let that
Dwight
sink in.
Stevenson's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Will Riker is the all-time leading scorer in college football. Okay, here's a question. True, false, guys. Will they make an exception? Will they come up with a category for a guy like Will Riker?
All-time leaders when they graduated. They should. That should already be a criteria. If you graduated and you were the all-time leader in whatever statistical category, you should be eligible for the like. Think about that. Think about a guy that played in any pro sport that retired as the all-time leader in something. Well, I guess Pete Rose, but Pete Rose cheated. But
Pete Rose didn't cheat in his head.
Player, he cheated as a coach.
That's right.
And he's eligible now because it's lifetime. Which now that he passed away, that lifetime ban has been lifted.
Anyway, yes or no? You think DC are they going to make a will the powers that be get smart? Because I don't think that's participation trophy. I don't think that
happen. There will be some type of loosening of the rules for the players. They'll have to be going down. There's too many people vying and lobbying for these players to make it in, and they'll say, "Okay, you did it for Mike Leach. We got to get this. We'll do it over here." When you do something like you've done for Mike Leach, and not just creating another category, but lessening the criteria, then you're going to see that same thing flow to the side. The precedent always, when you set a precedent that way, people don't realize how big it is at the time that it will eventually cause other things to change as well. It's the catalyst.
Yeah, I hope they don't change the. Well, I mean, I guess I am okay with them changing the category, because if you've been voted as an All-American, period, to me, unanimous and all that stuff doesn't matter because it's people's choices. But if there's a legit group that has said that you're one of the best players in the country, whatever, multiple times, whether you were unanimous or not, you're worthy of the Hall of Fame. I mean,
I agree. I think unanimous ought to be dropped. If you've been voted to an All-American team, you ought to be eligible.
Multiple, you ought to be eligible. Whether you get in or not is another story. So,
yeah, it's crazy. But hey, DC, yeah, you're our basketball guy. What are your thoughts on LeBaron Fallon returning?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was surprised it was LeBaron Fallon. I thought that we were holding that extra scholarship for a player who was going to come out of the NBA trial that they had on their radar. But I did not think it was going to be LeBaron Fallon. And, maybe I should have been thinking that. But, I just, in this age of NIL, there's a lot of money available to stay and play in college. If you're not going to be one of the top picks to tap into that money source. And I think there has been some history there for some players from Alabama that went on into the draft that are really great, but that have really had to play in the under leagues and work their way up on day contracts and 30-day contracts and that sort of thing, where they've done really well, but the money didn't materialize at first. So I think that was a way for the people to encourage or see his group that might want to come back. And maybe I thought he signed with an agent, but most likely he signed with one of those college agents to get him the best deal possible to come back. So I was surprised. I'm glad, but I was surprised.
Yeah, definitely. I think he shocked the Alabama nation by deciding to come back and be a part of the 25-26 team.
But he was dropping breadcrumbs. He came out so hard that he was gone, but then he said, well, it's a possibility. Then he didn't compete in the scrimmage. I mean, he didn't compete in the scrimmage. And then the next day or so, it leaked that he had signed with an agent. But undoubtedly, as DC said, that was one of those college eligible agents, marketing guys that got him a good deal. And I'm glad. This is one of the benefits of the NIL world that has helped Alabama basketball. I think it helped with Mark Sears and Grant Nelson last year. We're probably not looking at, an Elite Eight appearance without those guys. And I think it helps Alabama again. So Alabama's benefited from this NIL world. And hopefully this one gets Alabama over that glass ceiling that they shattered the Elite Eight ceiling 2 years in a row. They shattered the Final Four a year ago. Now can they get to that, Final Two and over the hump? And NIL may be the ticket that gets Alabama to a place it's never been before.
Well, to your point, though, Martin, the reason I was so shocked and surprised was the fact that he didn't play in the scrimmage. I thought that was an indication that his team was so confident that he didn't have to play. That's why I agree with you. That could have been a breadcrumb as well. But did either of you see the video that I posted on the DC Capstone Report page of John Gruden?
I was going to play that today.
That ought to be the video for Alabama basketball recruiting video. That ought to be. That's what that ought to be. If y'all seen that, if you hadn't, you need to take a look at it.
Wyatt, have you seen it?
I loved it.
Yeah. Oh my! X, have you seen it?
I haven't.
It is the greatest recruiting video ever. I mean, John Gruden, and I know we got to get the break, but John Gruden goes on a 5-minute tirade of praising Alabama. I was like, this is scripted. There's no way that John Gruden just happens to. I mean, he was dropping great Alabama greats all the way back to Douglas. I mean, he was dropping relationships with Sprewell, and we may play it tomorrow. It's worth it just to hear him go on and on about Alabama basketball. And the kicker was, he said, if I was in college, if I would play basketball, I would be wanting to come play for Nate Oates.
That's exactly what he said. And it all stemmed, X, from him meeting Nate Oates at a golf event. And Nate Oates promising him a box of Alabama gear.
I saw that.
Again, he made it again. He said, hey, where's my box? And so he gets his box, and they video him opening the box. And it's a 5-minute. I mean, he knows Alabama players and coaches from way back, and builds a case on why your child, if he's a basketball player, ought to consider going to Alabama. And it's a really great video for Alabama recruiting.
Wow.
All I can tell you, if the marketing people for Alabama, X, Y, and DC hadn't called Gruden and saying, hey, can we use that as promo? Shame on them.
I mean, Yay Alabama should have already been talking to him after that.
He's a Tennessee guy, by the way, X.
Yeah.
Wow. It was one of the most amazing. Like I said, it was so amazing. Hey, why? Let's just combine breaks and then we'll get out a little early if that's okay. Why, man? Have you ever seen anything like that? That's why I was like, this is staged. Has to be. Even if it was staged, it was Gruden, and he played it up like X. He would take something out of the bag, and then he dish on something great about Alabama. Oh my God, big shot, Ori. Boom. Then he goes out and comes back in and takes a shot. Talking about 3, 2, 1. I mean, he played the whole thing up. It was the most amazing video I think I've ever seen from a if it was legit, just pure reaction.
I saw a picture of him carrying the big old box and just didn't know there was a video connected to it.
Yeah, well, the only reason I don't think it was scripted was he was actually opening the box with a knife. And it was like a surprise. It was one of those videos where they were going to surprise to see what's in it. And as he started seeing things, he started thinking about he was on the court with Bobby Knight when they played Alabama, when Sanderson played in the championship in the tournament. He was Bobby Knight's ball boy. He said, And they had a great coach named Wimp Sanderson, he said, and he went on all the players, and that started him on a roll of everybody that ever played for Alabama.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, go figure. Well, all I can tell you is if you only get the part where he said, if I was a basketball player, I would go play for Nate Oates, that would be enough. But
that would be the part that I would put on every recruiting video there is.
So,
that's the opening clip.
Play some of it tomorrow. Go ahead, Ed.
No, that's the opening clip. You know, you got these guys coming in on visits, or you're reaching out to them on social media. I'd have boom clip, and then however you do the rest of the video, that would be my opening clip, without a doubt. That's crazy.
Actually, it's sick.
I think it just shows you how much what Nate Oates has brought where the Oates brought the program to national prominence, and he even says he's got him. He said, I think he's got him going back to the Final Four this year when he puts his Final Four hat on.
Hey, listen, I'm looking. I went to his account. He's doing it like there's a Georgia Tech. Tennessee gave a box that's like bigger than all the other boxes combined. So it'd be interesting to see what he said on the other ones. I think he's doing a tour of the schools, guys. He literally, that's why I told you this guy.
I saw he had Ryan and Isaiah come sit down and talk with him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it's interesting that, for the longest time, people were like we're talking about him taking the Tennessee job, and now he's reaching out to college players and having them come on instead of just doing the pre-draft stuff with draft eligible quarterbacks. And so if you can get Gruden hyping up your program, I mean, shoot, he's doing basketball now too. That's what you want.
He had like Oklahoma, Kansas, like Iowa State, maybe, Alabama men's basketball, volunteer football, Georgia Tech football. That's what's up so far. It wouldn't matter. I'd be the first one to get it out there. I'd be using it either way. So, like I said, it doesn't matter to me if it's skilled or if it's not. It's recognizable. Eric, what else you got for DC before we get out of here?
DC, when we're looking forward to Alabama football, what's something that you want to see this team on the recruiting trail? I know we've been talking recruiting a little bit all week. Where do you want to see Alabama go after in this 2026 class?
Well, I think they got to find a quarterback. I think you mentioned that coming into the segue, and I think they need a quarterback. I know the quarterback room. Everybody thinks you got a lot of quarterbacks in the room right now, but with what we have, I think we need another quarterback. I think that should be a priority. I'd like to see them get another running back if possible, and then I would like to see them shore up the offensive line with some positions, and then possibly a tight end. I think we haven't talked about tight end room yet, but some people just kind of gloss over that. But losing what we've lost in Oots, I think is going to be a key. He's been in that room for so long, held it together. And then C.J. Dupree had been there a couple of years. So right now you're down to this year with Josh Wavis and Danny Lewis Jr., which neither one have much experience or shown much on the forefront. And then behind them were two transfers, that came in, Brody Dalton and Caleb Edwards. And so I think that tight end needs to be somebody they go after as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know Kennington yesterday said the defensive line was a big need for this team, defensive line and linebackers. So it's interesting that you went with the offensive focus of what Alabama needs to bring into the 2026 class.
DC, real quick, DC, they're talking about the possibility of making these contracts public. What are your thoughts, really quick, 30 seconds on that?
Making the contracts public?
The NIL contracts. That's one of the
great idea to make the contracts public. I think it's fine. It lets you see if everybody's playing on an even playing field or not.
Yeah, I think it's fine from a fan standpoint. I think it's going to be chaos. He's making more than me. I deserve more. It's one thing to think the other guy's making more, but when you see it in writing, whoo, them feelings get hurt.
Not just more, but how much more?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, that's DC Capstone Report. He joins us every Tuesday. We appreciate you getting in. X, you wrap us up, man.
All right, hey, this is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. On this Tuesday edition, we had DC of DC Capstone Report joining us as he does each and every Tuesday. We had Wyatt Fulton pressing the right buttons for us today. We appreciate everybody listening in on this edition of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We'll be back tomorrow.
All right, remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide, everybody. Catch you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show.